Joining us now, the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy. Secretary Duffy, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I guess the first question I have is what's the fix for Newark Airport in the immediate future? Obviously, I know you have plans for improving the situation in the longer term, but right now there's a crisis. What can be done? What will you do?
Yeah, so a couple things. Immediately, we're in the process of bringing together all the airlines that serve Newark and putting them in a room and having a conversation about how they reduce their capacity in Newark. So if you book a flight, you know it's not going to be delayed or canceled. You're actually going to get on that flight and it's going to fly. But that's a coordination that we have to have through the FAA with all those airlines. So the Philly Tracon gives the service to Newark. They're the facility that controls that airspace. We do have some air traffic controllers in training. They've been training for some time. They're ready to come online. That'll be helpful with the shortage that we have there. But Jake, this is an infrastructure problem, right? And we've known this infrastructure problem has existed for a very long time. The last administration knew it. No one has done anything. So for Newark specifically, we're going to rebuild the communication system at Newark. I thought it was going to be 8 months, 6 months. We're pushing to do it faster. Hopefully this summer we get that done. But the key is always safety, right? I don't want people to fly. I'd rather have them delayed or canceled. I'd rather have it take 6 months than 2.5 months to build out that communication system, because I want people to get from point A to point B safely. And again, if they have to wait for a flight, I'd prefer that than something else going wrong with their flight.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying that what's going on right now is a problem created in the last 106 days. Obviously,
yeah, of course.
This goes back beyond the Biden administration, beyond the first Trump administration, literally decades. But this is the situation we're in. Pete Montine,
right,
our aviation expert here, says that Newark is a microcosm of the problems all over the entire American travel system, air traffic control system. So beyond the short-term fix, getting all the airlines in a room and trying to divert flights to other airports, beyond this problem solving that you want to do in the next few months, what is the larger term goal in terms of making sure that Newark isn't just the tip of the iceberg?
Listen, that's a great question. So again, because we have such old infrastructure, it's 25 to 50 years old, depending on what you're talking about. That's why you can't let it get to this point, right? Where you see issues like Newark. Could that happen somewhere else? It's possible. And so what we have to do is we're rolling a plan out on Thursday. We're going to need a lot of money from Congress to do this. It's not going to take 10 years like Pete suggested. It's going to take 3 to 4 years to get this build out done. You can't snap your fingers and lay fiber or bring in new radios or new radar. Those things take time, and we're going to put the time in, the money in, and you're going to start to see results sooner than 3 or 4 years as this build out happens. We're also dealing with air traffic controllers. We have a 3,000 controller shortage right now in America, and it's been like that for almost a decade. So we've done two things. We've expanded the capacity for our main academy, which is in Oklahoma City, to get more controllers into the academy and get the best qualified controllers into the academy, because we have a 35% washout rate. If we can get down to 25%, we get more young people through and trained up and certified and in towers. Also, controllers after 25 years of service, they can retire, Jake. And so we want to say, listen, if you're an experienced controller and you're willing to stay on after that date of retirement, let's pay them. We're going to give them 20% bonuses up front per year that they stay on and help us with the airspace. And those two things together, I can't do it tomorrow. I can't do it, in a month. But over the course of the next year and 2 years, you're going to see the pressure come off the controllers, because we're focusing on the experienced end and the trained up end and resolve this problem. But all this together, it's going to take, it takes a long time. And that's why I wish the last administration would have seen it. There were GAO reports that said, hey, the infrastructure is failing, and no one did anything with it, Jake. They spent $1.2 trillion on infrastructure. What has gone to the greatest infrastructure in this country, which is air traffic control? Not much. I can't see it. And so I'm frustrated by that, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But we can't look back. We have to look forward and go, how are we going to fix it? The president has bought into our plan. This is bipartisan in Congress. Democrats and Republicans agree. We all fly.
Right.
Our families fly. So let's get it done.
So the Senate Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer, talked about this situation in Newark today on the Senate floor. Take a listen to a little clip of that.
public deserves answers to some very important questions. Why has the staffing shortages at Newark and other critical airports been allowed to continue? What role has DOGE cuts played in aggravating the chaos? What is the plan to fill the vacancies of critical leadership at the FAA?
So Leader Schumer called for the Inspector General at the FAA to conduct an investigation into the Newark issues. And this comes as we're learning that the FAA halted the work of an outside panel of experts that were scrutinizing its management of air traffic control operations. I just gave you a lot to respond to there, but let's start with the pausing of that oversight board. Why was that paused?
So I'm not aware of the pausing of the oversight board. Again, we've been bringing on and hiring more air traffic controllers, bringing more air traffic controllers into the school. DOGE has had no role in cutting our critical safety mission at DOT. We've expanded that, whether they're pipeline inspectors or rail inspectors, airline inspectors, or actually air traffic controllers. But what Chuck Schumer's talking about is DOGE, which again has no play. But if he wants the IG to come in and look at what happened in the Philly TRACON when it moved from New York, they moved it last summer under Pete Buttigieg from New York to Philly. And when they do that investigation, they'll find that Chuck Schumer was actually part of the problem, where they were testing up new equipment to deploy in Philly, and because he kept playing political games, that equipment wasn't tested. He'll also find that before they moved the TRACON to Philly from New York for Newark, that they actually should have built out the infrastructure around Philly, so they don't have to pull that information out of Newark. They didn't do those things correctly, and part of the problem was Chuck Schumer. So I look forward to the IG investigation about what the real problems were that we're experiencing right now, how it goes back to the games that Chuck Schumer was playing as he was a lead senator from New York.